We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live, coming to you live from Facebook and YouTube. Also, go find us on Twitter and Instagram. Remember to like, subscribe, share, tell everyone you know, and we're going to talk about some movies. I'm going to go like and share because that's what I do. I'm following the rules. Okay, we actually have a lot of movies to talk about. And you know what? Even if we didn't, we would still talk a lot because last week we only had two movies or one movie, and we still talked an hour, and I don't even know what we were talking about. But who knows? All right, here we go. It's telling me Hollywood Matrimony is live right now. I'm going to go share it. All right. Well, where do we want to start today? Let me get my screen up and running so we can see what it is. Operator error. Okay, babe.
It was not operating error.
What do you want to talk about first?
Pickles.
I love pickles. I actually read an article this morning about the benefits of drinking pickle juice every day. This thing.
The benefit that's I have on me nothing because I'm not drinking pickle juice.
No, but it says it's actually good when you're working out because it helps with your muscles.
I'm aware. I've heard.
Okay, so all you have to do is a shot of pickle juice every day, and it's supposed to have really amazing health benefits. I am all in. I used to drink pickle juice as a kid. I would get the jar and just drink it.
It explains so much.
And I love pickles. I like the sour pickles, not just. I don't want no butter pickles, no bread and butter. I don't want no sweet pickles. I want sour pickles. And then I would take them, lay them out. I would put salt on them, and I would put lemon juice on them. And that is the best way to have pickles. I'm just sharing as a pickle aficionado.
The best way to have pickles is to not have pickles.
And I also like spicy pickles. I don't like sweet.
And I don't even dislike pickles. They're just...
It's not your thing, is it?
Pickles, okay, here's the thing. Pickles aren't gross. I'll eat a pickle.
I'm so congested.
Pickles, I'll eat pickles.
You brought it up. I went with it.
Well, you could have just moved on.
No.
Ignore me like you do everything else.
I refuse to.
I don't mind a pickle spear here and there. I don't mind some fried pickles.
I love fried pickles.
I don't prefer them on a burger, but if they end up there, it's fine. The problem with pickles is pickles are like in the same vein of tomatoes.
The juice
taints everything it touches.
So good.
It's not so good. So you get something that's got soggy from pickle juice, it's gross. Just like anything raw tomato touches makes it horrible.
This guy, he doesn't eat tomatoes, but you love tomato soup.
I will eat cooked.
You'll eat cooked most of the time, as long as they're not chunks.
Yeah, and even the chunks, I can pick them out because I like the flavor of the sauces. I like ketchup. I like tomato soup. I just don't like raw tomatoes.
Yeah.
And the juice from a raw tomato ruins everything in life. If you got a juice from a raw tomato on you, I might have to divorce you. Because you would be ruined, because you'd be tomatoes now.
I'm about to ruin.
You'd be tomatoes.
Oh.
So it works.
Whatever. All right. Pick a movie to talk about, babe.
I don't care. You start.
You want to go this way? You want to go that way? Let's just start with that.
Okay.
It was an interesting one. We're going to go here, and let me share my screen. I was not prepared.
She's yelling at people to do things, and then she ain't even prepared.
Share.
Come on, fool.
All right. So the first movie we're going to talk about is this movie called Songbird.
Well, this is an older one now because it's been out for a couple of weeks.
We were behind. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Songbird is actually a really interesting movie because it takes place during a pandemic.
It is actually, to my knowledge, the first film that was shot during the pandemic.
Yes.
There was actually some issues surrounding it.
And
at one point, I don't remember if it was SAG or somebody else, but there was like a letter issued telling people to not film on this film.
Oh.
Or they could be fined or whatever. And then apparently it all got worked out and went away. But it became a big controversy thing. So
well, that's interesting because there are a lot of people in this movie, like a lot of well-known people. So if we start off at the top, I guess this is the guy that you know.
KJ Apa, who plays Archie on Riverdale.
Yeah, he was really good in this movie. I don't watch Riverdale, so
I
didn't know anything about him.
Seasons, but
Sophia Carson is the girl, and I have seen her in
I've seen her in something, but I don't know what.
Something else. Can we just run through these people?
Sure.
We got Craig Robinson, who's hilarious in anything he does. Bradley Whitford, who most would know from what?
He's been in a lot of stuff.
He's just
you know him recently from that choir show.
Yes.
I don't remember the name of it. I worked with Bradley Whitford. I worked with Bradley Whitford on a TV show.
Oh.
He was on that show with Colin Hanks.
I know this girl. She's from The Descendants.
Oh, that's the show that I worked on where I played the U.S. Marshal and they blew up the box truck in the neighborhood.
Oh, yes.
We were standing next to him in the window when they blew it up and got to hang out with him. Great guy.
He's good. And then
Peter Stormare, who I love.
Yes.
He's always crazy.
And then out of nowhere, I'm like, that's Demi Moore. I'm like, okay.
Alexandra Daddario.
Who we all know from
everything. Most people probably know her more recently from Baywatch.
Previously,
she was also in Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson. This is me fighting with a sword.
One of my favorite actors around, Paul Walter Hauser, is in it.
Yes, he's in it. There are just a lot of really good people in this movie. So I was wondering, I guess, did they just have to agree to be in it during the COVID and do testing?
I think they have to agree to be in it in any film.
No, but I'm just saying, like, how does that? Because that adds a whole new layer to legal.
You could tell too. A lot of the film, everybody was separated, and it works because the entire story is about a pandemic that happens. Everybody's quarantined, but there's certain people that are immune to whatever the virus or whatever happened. And so basically, KJ Apple's character is like a delivery guy. Courier. Thank you. And he's delivering stuff to different people's houses. They have like these machines or whatever that you put it in, and it automatically sanitizes everything.
UV sanitation.
Craig Robinson's character is basically running the thing and sending him on the different jobs. And then you have Demi Moore and Bradley Whitford. They're a rich couple in one house. You have the other lady is somebody that he delivered to that he became friends with. They kind of have a little thing going.
Yes. Sophia.
Then you have the other people that are the kind of shady people. So there's like this whole, it's kind of a dramatic thriller.
It really is. And the interesting thing is this particular pandemic takes place in the year 2024. Okay.
So we're not too far away.
We're in the future a little bit.
It's the future, but not the future. It's when Trump is running for president again. That's why the pandemic happened in that.
And in this instance, everyone is in full lockdown no matter what. Like there is no more going out. Like this is just how it is. The people who are immune are allowed out, but you have to have a special ID to prove.
Yeah, so if they see you, there's like full-on police, military forces.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We are in martial law, and every day everyone's given a device, and every day you must scan yourself and do the temperature vitals check to make sure you're disease-free. And if you're not, they grab you and they take you away and throw you in a quarantine zone. So in a way, there were several undertones of this whole military thing, the martial law thing, but even a little bit of the, what am I thinking, where they come and take you away and throw you in the cages with the kids.
Oh, the concentration camps. And
just like what we have now. Internment camps and the kids in cages and just.
It's fully inspired by what's really gone on in the last year.
It was a little bit scary.
In a way that had this not happened, you would not believe it could ever happen like that. But now living through something similar, not as extreme as this, you can fully see this could happen at any moment.
Well, and we've heard stories. I'm thinking immigration law.
Yeah.
If the people come by, like ICE comes by, and they just round up a group of people. Some of those people may not be illegally here, but it doesn't matter. They round up everyone.
Yep.
In this movie, if one person in your house is sick, they take everyone and throw you in the quarantine
because they assume
zone.
Everybody's
well, and if you are, you're going to be.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you were not sick, suddenly you're going to be and you're going to die for no reason.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, this movie just had me a little bit stressed out.
That stuff like that happens for people that don't want to follow rules. And things get out of control, and then it forces other things like that to happen. So all those people that like to post things about rise up against the government, don't wear a mask, don't do this, don't do that. That's how we get to the extreme levels.
Well, that's what was happening here. This whole thing, this movie just had me a little stressed out. But there is a whole big dramatic story. There's a love story. There's some laughs. There's some greed. There is some laughs. There's some like, what is going on?
There's like some deadly obsession.
Yes. Oh my.
Deadly sexual obsession situation.
Well, and that freaked me out. Okay, so there's people who are meeting and having sex.
I was gonna ask
but
you
I was like,
that.
oh my gosh, that is the most dangerous thing.
There's one.
Do.
It makes you think like during quarantine times of people that go to prostitutes and whatever else. There's a moment where one character goes sees a prostitute, or we assume she's a prostitute, but she's in her full lingerie or whatever, but with a gas mask, and he's got like an oxygen tank gas mask thing, and they're all like, and it becomes this thing that you're like this is just weird futuristic hippity bullshit. But you can see that's how you would probably have to do it in a world like that. But still making contact. Okay, well, how's this thing spread? What's the point of this if you can spread it? So, and I don't know if in this they really ever.
Yeah, it's airborne. It was airborne.
That's what I thought.
That's the scary thing. But here's the thing, though. It reminded me of an article. This actually happened last year. There was an article that came out about men crossing the border, going into Tijuana because the prostitutes there. We're still operating. Yeah. They were still open for business.
Yeah, nobody told me.
No, but I mean, that is like the most dangerous thing you can do because who knows how many people spread COVID around.
Look, sometimes you still got to get.
No, you don't.
You got to make a deposit.
Not
in the
midst of a pandemic.
You always need to make a deposit into the coin purse.
Wow. The only thing I could think in this instance is if one of the prostitutes was immune.
Here's what would be really
might weird. Be okay.
I wonder.
I don't know, y'all. This was just. Crazy.
I wonder how many people in that context. During last year, were found out about their affairs because, like, they still met up with somebody making out, and then all of a sudden, conveniently, those two people got the COVID, but their spouses or other people didn't. And everybody's like, how did you happen to get? Like, that was like paranoia that I would have. Like, what would somebody think if, like, I got sick and suddenly somebody we know got sick, and then they'd be like, but y'all didn't see each other, you know, like
suspicious
because we did have a situation where. Because we had it last year, and a group of people we know had it. There are people that were all usually around, but none of us had seen each other.
It was so bizarre.
It was just weird. We all
or did got they? It. Ba, ba, ba.
Yeah. Or did we see each other?
We might have seen each other
before, and
once.
it took that long, and we don't remember seeing each other. You know, it's really weird because we stayed pretty quarantined and away from everything, and did too, and it's just weird.
Anyways, if you're interested, go read the article from CNN, Americans Still Paying for Sex in Mexico Despite the Pandemic. This was a whole big article that came out last year.
Well,
don't do that.
Now I know where to go.
Do not do that. Do not go out in a pandemic without
Don't
a mask
mess up
on.
these ladies' business.
I support prostitution. Don't get me wrong. I support them.
These people are trying
to make a living.
They are trying to run a business here, and you're trying to mess it up.
Provide for their families.
How are they get? Look, they had They had to run a business during the pandemic.
But dang, no, that's dangerous.
They were working from home.
You're so dumb. Wow. Anyways, the movie is Songbird. It's a weird, strange love story.
It was way better. It was one of those movies that
it was good. I
didn't have a lot of interest in watching it, and then to the point that I never really paid attention who was in it.
Vader.
I think other than knowing KJ Apple was in it, I was like, I guess I'll watch it, and saw that it was like when I went to look at it, I saw it was from producer, somebody from The Purge and A Quiet Place. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is like a creepy, scary thing, which is what I thought it was.
Well, real life is scary sometimes.
Well, from the box, it looked like it could be like some terror horror thing, and I'm watching. I'm like, okay, first of all, this isn't a horror film at all. It's terrifying because we've gone through. We're right on the edge of being that exact thing, and we were to an extent, but not to the level of
there were not people dragging you from your homes and throwing you in a quarantine.
Not from our homes.
No. Anyhow, it's interesting. So check it out.
It is available now on Blu-ray and DVD. Songbird.
Songbird. Okay, which one do you want to get?
Songbirds are sold.
I'm going to give you here. Tell me about this.
We watched it together.
We did?
Yes.
This one?
Yes, let me tell everybody about it. Our next film is called The Reckoning. And it basically is an interesting twist on the Salem witch situations.
Oh, yes. I'm there now.
I don't know if this was actually the Salem witch trial thing.
No,
it's
not.
That same idea of somebody being accused of being a witch in the 1800s.
Let me back you up here, buddy. This was during the Black Plague, I believe.
Yes, the Great Plague.
The Great Plague.
Yes. I'm just saying. I'm just talking about that idea.
Why are movies pandemic-y this week? This is number 2.
I'm just saying that it's in that same realm of the Salem witch trial kind of mentality of when somebody, they don't agree with something or they think somebody's off, they immediately accuse them of being a witch.
Someone's asking if the movie Songbird is streaming anywhere.
I believe it. I don't know if it's straight up streaming. I think it's on digital. You can rent it, I believe, probably. because it's still only a few weeks old, so I doubt it's full streaming yet. But you could probably, most likely, you can like rent it for fairly cheap since it's out, like $3.99, $4.99, something like that. I know it's digital, but
yes, it's available on the internet. It's ranges about $4.99.
Yeah, usually the one of the things,
Amazon Prime has it.
If you ever want to rent a movie
Apple
digitally,
TV.
just so you know, when they come out on Blu-ray and DVD, the price drops from usually from $20 to $15 down to about $5 to rent the digital copy. That's usually the average. So
excuse me,
I didn't realize that for a long time. That's why I used to avoid digital versions of stuff.
Yeah,
and then I realized. That it drops significantly once it's actually out in the world, down to like $5 to rent something. So what is he doing?
I have no idea what this dog is doing.
He doesn't like these new pillows because he can't swirl up very well.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry.
Anyway,
the next movie is called The Reckoning. As we were saying, the plague hits.
If you can't find it, since I know who this is asking me, I can let you borrow it.
Just call us. So this movie takes place during the plague, and of course, because people are so dumb. And people continue to be dumb sometimes. I hate to tell y'all this, but society hasn't changed. They decide that the plague is because of witches.
And the thing that drew me to this movie, because normally I wouldn't care about witch movies, is director Neil Marshall, who directed this movie. He is famed for The Descent. He also did Dog Soldiers.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, that's one of your favorites.
That is one of my all-time favorite werewolf movies.
The werewolves.
He did Dog Soldiers, and so he's done a few different things. And one of the actors from the Dog Soldiers is in this movie. Who's the witch hunter guy?
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the soldiers. Jerk. So who's also
he's a jerk in this.
He was also Alfred Pennyworth in Gotham. If you didn't recognize him,
I did not.
With his mustache.
I did not.
Anyway,
so this particular movie, this lady encounters difficulties in her life. Her husband gets the plague. And, of course, she, through various circumstances, gets accused for being a witch. And really it all boils down to this dude got mad at her.
Because she wouldn't give up.
She wouldn't give it. And so he's denounced her as a witch. And that's where the drama starts. And this lady's like, I ain't going down like that.
So here's my things. The first half of this movie, I thought was kind of eh.
Yeah.
It felt kind of all over the place.
It was struggling to get going.
It felt like I couldn't decide what it wanted. It was interesting. It wasn't boring. It kind of had some, I think it was some of the cuts, some of the performances was kind of, where are we going with this movie? And because I didn't realize when we went into it, it was, even though it says right here, as far as fear spreads like the plague, I didn't realize it was like the witch thing. I thought it was going to be demon possessions. And there is that element in the movie. A little bit. But it's not a full-on supernatural film, although there is like demons.
There's some supernatural elements.
But once we get to the point where they're trying to prove she's a witch, it actually gets pretty interesting.
It gets interesting. My problem with the beginning was her makeup.
Yeah, I made a comment to you during
that was distracting to me.
She had a pretty nice job for the 1800s.
I'm like, we're in the middle of the plague of the century.
It is the 1800s, right?
Yeah. And you've got like full-on beauty makeup. This is awkward.
And she's like poor. It's not even like she's royalty or something. Like at least you can kind of accept it in that case because you're like, she's rich. And this one, she's coming out of her slum, muddy house, working on the field, and she's got her sword, but she still is all made up.
I think once we get to the point, like you said, they accuse her of being a witch, and she has to figure out how to fight back. That's when it gets really interesting. And they did a really good job, I thought, of showing the different torture methods that would happen. And it reminded me of when you go to medieval times and you walk through the little
torture chamber thing? Yeah. That torture museum?
Man,
I always love that thing. I go through that every time we go.
I know. These people were a mess.
It's always funny if you go to a place like that with her, because she doesn't really like history and stuff, so she doesn't. She's getting better.
I'm not saying I don't
so she doesn't know a lot of that detailed stuff. Like important things. But so every time we find something like that, she'll look at me and be like, really? They did this to people? Why would they do this?
They did this to people.
Yeah, this one, there's that. I think that device is actually at medieval times.
There's one.
Remember when I referred to the coin purse earlier? This is a female torture device to go inside the hoo-ha. And there's a scene
That's
with
what it does. But here's my thing that just confuses me about that. Confuses me about current military torture. It confuses me about anything involving torture. We know if you torture someone long enough, they're going to tell you whatever you want them to.
that's been the whole thing about the U.S. being against torturing prisoners.
Correct.
Because of the idea that, if I beat you long enough, most likely you're going to just tell me what I want you to know or want to hear, so I'll stop beating you. Or I'll stop doing whatever to you. And then, therefore, it doesn't mean you actually did it. It means you didn't want to get hit anymore.
Yeah, and so that's what they tell. They're like, just tell us you're a witch and we can stop it. And she's like, but I'm not. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But even if she had confessed and like, I'm a witch, then they're just going to burn her. So what's the benefit of just saying yes or no?
Well, it's really
upsetting.
That whole thing was really to further cement that power of the man because that was kind of a man thing.
It was a total man thing.
It was, if a woman was going to reject somebody, if a woman suddenly had power, if a woman did this or did that, and she, and it went against a man, or she was stronger than a man, or whatever. The only explanation is some kind of a supernatural element.
Right. She suddenly.
I agree with. There's no possible way. No, I'm just kidding.
You don't want me to take advantage of you, so you're a witch.
Yeah, that was kind of
Here's my other thing. If she was a witch, who cares? Why is this a problem?
You can be a witch, just don't be a bitch. It's the wrong letter.
But here's the thing.
They should have had the Salem bitch trials and got rid of the bitches.
Wow. I'm just like, all these poor ladies, like, what if one of them really was a witch? Okay, we'll leave her alone and she won't hurt you.
But here's the thing. If you go on that front and that the witches are real or whatever, witches were predominantly evil. And so that means
but only
you're getting rid of
them. If you didn't do anything to them.
No, but witchcraft is rooted in demonology and Satanism. And
I know.
So the idea was getting rid of evil. The idea, if it was based on an actual idea, was sound. Because it's not based on an actual idea, it's based on, hey, let's say this. And I'm sure it was somebody who believed in witches that started it.
Mm-hmm.
But also
I believe it.
But also didn't believe in a woman being more powerful than a man.
Correct. That's
so
the
they
real
doubled
problem.
it up to say, hey, this is how we keep our women in line.
But here's some of the stupid things, like, let me throw you into a river, and if you float, you're not a witch. Well, if you throw me in the river, I'm going to drown, and I'm going to float. Or if, like, let me cut you open and see if you bleed like normal or green.
Well, that was also
you've already
back
cut me open, so I'm going to die.
You got to remember, too, then, if you floated, then you were a witch. But they didn't know anything about oxygen making up your body, which is body off float.
That's just so
ridiculous. But if you put a guy in there to float, they would come up with some other explanation. Look, let's just get to the point, okay?
It's women hating.
Y'all are wrong.
No.
And the world needs to go back. We need to take the world back to the time period where if you act up, I can just tell you you're a witch and get rid of you.
Whatever. Anyhow, the movie's good. I really enjoyed it.
It was a hit and miss with me. I enjoyed the second half of the film a lot. I thought it was cool seeing the torture stuff. I thought it did take it into like almost an action,
natural,
thriller.
Yeah,
action.
There was some good action. I thought
it was okay action, but it took it in a different direction than a movie like this would normally take it.
Mm-hmm.
It got that Hollywood action-esque element to it. But I was a little let down because I thought it was going to be more intense. One, from the title and the picture on the cover, I thought this looks like it's going to be something about possession and this and that. And knowing no Marshall's involved, I'm like, oh, this is going to be really intense and violent and whatever. And there's elements of that there, but not quite what I thought. So it's not a bad movie, but it is Neil Marshall. And as one of my friends just recently said, Neil Marshall can do no wrong. So I give him props.
I liked it. I thought it was awesome. Woman power, women fighting back.
But if you've never seen Dog Soldiers, you need to watch Dog Soldiers because that movie is glorious.
Watch The Reckoning. It's really good.
No, watch Dog Soldiers.
Okay. Watch both. How about that?
Dog Soldiers is a werewolf movie, and it is awesome.
Okay. Anyways, this was a good movie. Is good too. I liked it. It was good. We posted a link.
This offends me. It says from the director of The Sin and Game of Thrones because he worked on the Game of Thrones as well. Why did I say Dog Soldiers? Because Dog Soldiers is his best film he's ever made. Sorry.
Well, I think the Descent's more recent, right?
No, it was more commercial success.
Anyways, okay, The Reckoning.
It's available now on Blu-ray and DVD from RLJE Films.
There you go. All right, next, where do you want to go?
You mean talk about that one since it's sitting there?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Tell me about this. It's got one of my.
It's got your boyfriend and my
boyfriend. Okay.
So this next movie is called Assault on VA-33. It stars Sean Patrick Flannery, Mark Dacascos, Michael Jai White, and Rob Van Dam.
You're all in this then.
So let me talk about this movie.
Okay.
So this is another hit and miss for me. I was very excited. I saw this trailer right after doing the interviews and reviewing Born a Champion.
Yes.
Which is the movie that Sean Patrick Flannery
so
wrote,
good.
stars in. It's basically a letter of love and passion to martial arts, most notably Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in that film. And so it gave me a newfound, not respect because I've respected him as an actor because I've been a fan, but a newfound level of what I knew about him that made me more of a fan. I'm now seeing him as a martial artist. So knowing this is a new action flick, and of course you throw in Mark Dacascos and Michael Jai White, I hear potential of martial arts action.
Yes,
right?
yes.
The movie is basically Die Hard in a VA hospital.
Oh, okay.
So it's that kind of idea. So basically the premise is Sean Patrick Flannery, can't say his name. Flannery is a guy who he had some PTSD trauma he's kind of dealing with. So he goes to this hospital. His wife is one of the doctors, I believe, there, but he goes there for his counseling session. And of course, some bad guys come and take over the hospital, and because there's gonna be there's some kind of a general there or something.
Oh, that
they're coming to get him because they want something else. And blah blah blah. Same crap we've seen numerous times in relation to the story. The movie is fine. It's a kind of a run-of-the-mill action flick. It is nowhere near a martial arts flick. There's really only one real martial arts fight. Michael Jai White does not fight at all in the movie, which kind of bummed me out.
There's no kicking?
Not from him. He has a couple of shootouts. He's rarely in the action at all. He plays like a police chief.
But that don't make no sense.
He's kind of like the police guy in Die Hard that's on the phone.
Oh,
he's the police chief.
I see, on the outside.
Yeah, but he's got his guys over there, and so he shows up later, and you get a little bit in it, but he's in the movie a lot on the phone. Mark Dacascos is kind of the same way. He's like the sniper of the team. So he spends the majority of the film completely away from everybody up on a roof. So almost all of his scenes are by himself. But he does show up, and him and Sean Patrick Flannery do fight.
I see.
And so he gets a chance to throw some jump kicks and spin kicks and whatever. And there's a funny line, which is probably my favorite part of the whole movie. He's fighting Sean Patrick Flannery. Sean's part. He's predominantly jiu-jitsu now, but he did train in taekwondo and stuff. And
Judy Chop.
If you want to hear information about that, you can go to our interview section, and there's an interview
with
Flannery from Born a Champion about his martial arts background.
Interviews.
And I also talked to Mark Dacascos, interviewed him about this movie, which we posted the link. It's our first video.
There's a video.
The first video interview I've posted. I have a couple of it that I might post, but this is the first one I posted. But there's a scene where he's fighting, and it kind of reminded me of the Indiana Jones thing where Dacascos starts kicking and punching, and he's smacking Flannery around.
Nice.
But he does kind of this combination that's kind of a flare thing, and he pauses, and Flannery's just like, "That is really cool. How did you do that? That's really awesome." And then the fight goes. It was just kind of a funny. He said that Dacascos said that was fully improv moment of him.
And the other one's on the YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's on our page too.
This one? No, that's not.
No. Did you not click on the front page one?
The interview? Oh, is it on the front page? Sorry.
It's right there.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
No.
It
goes
to
there.
Go to the front page.
Go to the front page. Okay, sorry. Keep talking.
Anyway, so beyond that, though, most of it's shooting, and there's some fight, and there's some cheesy dialogue and that kind of thing. So it doesn't always work, but it's entertaining enough that if you like anybody involved, check it out. It's not something you haven't seen before, but it's not what I was hoping I was going to get, but it's not half bad.
Okay. I'm posting links to everything, so you have them all.
That's right.
At your disposal.
Right. Assault on VA 33 is available now in select theaters and on demand. I believe it comes out maybe in May or June, maybe even this month on DVD. And we might end up having giveaway copies of it coming up. We'll see.
Nice. All right. Next, where do we go?
Wherever you want.
You can go here?
Sure.
We're going there. All right. The next movie we're going to talk about is The Courier, based on true events, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, the lady that plays Miss Maisel, and a bunch of other people.
Where's the lady that plays Miss Maisel?
That lady.
Is it?
Yeah. It's Miss Maisel. Anyhow, tell me about this. What is this movie about?
The one that played his wife. I think that's her name. Miss Maisel wasn't the one that played his wife.
No.
She was the one that was like his go-between.
Yes, the American.
The one that played his wife was in a recent season of Fargo, and she was crazily awesome.
Really?
She was like a nurse who was killing people, and the season with
Love
Chris
it.
Rock, she was batshit crazy. It was awesome. So the movie basically it's a true story about he's a businessman, right?
He's just a businessman.
And he has connections with some Soviet government stuff. And they basically turned him into a courier, basically just to deliver stuff with a Soviet spy back and forth.
Yep.
And that's it.
Some information.
Yeah.
The thing is...
And this movie is in theaters.
Yes. You have to go to that theater. Bless you, kind sir. You've got to go to the theater. You've got to check it out. I don't know how it did. I'm wondering how it did because people love them some Benedict Cumberbatch. Anyhow, I really liked this movie. I like him.
I do too. I didn't used to because he's so weird looking.
He is awkward.
But now he's not weird looking to me anymore because I think it was just
Doctor Strange won you over?
Yeah, but no, it wasn't Doctor Strange. It was Star Trek when he played Khan in the second Star Trek movie. I'm sorry if it's a spoiler because nobody knew he was Khan until you watched the movie. But
but that was years ago, so
yeah, you don't know by now. Sorry.
I think the thing I like about this is it's you may or may not like this. I actually did.
It's a very slow.
It's a talkie.
Yeah.
It is slow, and a lot of it though it's very. There's not a lot of dialogue, actually. It's kind of silent because a lot of it, you're just watching the things happen while there's a voiceover of what he's actually doing. Like he's doing a business meeting or whatever, and then he's like, I need to use the bathroom. And then you go to the bathroom and something will happen there, but there's no real dialogue about it. You're just seeing things, the transactions happen, if you will, because he's leaving things, picking things up, and he really honestly has no idea what's going on. He's reluctantly participating because he understands that we need to help defeat the Soviet Union or whatever's happening. And I think that the interesting thing to me is how would they recruit just a normal everyday person? But I guess that's the best person because no one's going to suspect it.
Yeah.
But this just seemed a little bit dangerous and scary
well,
to me. I was kind of stressed.
You know, he's been most known for genre stuff, so most people know him as Doctor Strange, or they know him as Sherlock. But then he also did, I don't know if you know this or not, but he was also the voice of Smaug the dragon in the Hobbit movies.
I don't know anything about this.
Well, you know Smaug, right? The big gigantic dragon in the gold tile. That's Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh.
But you know, he's shown him, and then of course Star Trek. But like he was just recently in the Mauritanian. And then this, I like seeing these different sides to him because he's obviously, if you watch Sherlock, you get a real sense of his real acting ability. Because it's not that he's bad in Marvel,
I
but
need to. I haven't saved.
You know, the Marvel movies, as dramatic and as good as they are, they're genre movies. It's kind of hard to get a full.
Yeah.
You know, you're not dealing with a lot of drug issues and death and whatever. You know, you are, but you know what I mean. Like Sherlock is all that, and this is another one of those that shows. Depth in his performances, and you see physical changes as things happen.
That's what I was going to say. He gets really skinny at one point.
Yeah, the second half of the film I thought was the best part. It's kind of like The Reckoning, where the first half, all the build up and all the stuff they're doing, it's when things start going south is when the film really steps up, and he gets to bring his A game even more so of physically, emotionally, mentally, everything to the surface, and really create a character that you're compelled watching, even though the movie's not overly exciting.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a lot of just watching things happen, a lot of dialogue. The other thing that I found really interesting was the toll that it took on him, just personally and emotionally, the stress level of he knew he was doing something. He didn't know the details, but he knew his life was in danger. You know, and you see that come out through other areas of his life. And I just thought that was interesting. Like his wife was like, there is something going on. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's another woman. She's like, but I know something's going on. And he's like, there's nothing going on, honey. And she's like, come on. So, you know, all this stuff, like his whole life personally starts to just really unravel and come apart around the time that things go bad. Right. And so it just kind of compounds on that. And then instead of him just freaking out about himself, now he's worried about his family, you know, his wife and his kid and all these other things. And then you get to the end and it's like, hey, this was a true story. And I'm like, what?
How do you not know that already? You said at the beginning of the
I
movie.
know.
Why are you
but then
me?
By the end of it, I had forgotten because I got into it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this really happened to this poor dude.
And I realized it's facial hair.
Yeah, I don't like the mustache.
That's what makes him not look weird.
Really?
His facial hair.
Oh.
Me and him suffer from the same situation.
Let me go look at him.
We have long face. Like I have a big square head.
He does. He has a long head.
Longer face.
He has an oblong head.
And his eye placement kind of made him unique, which is probably why he's a star, because he's got a unique look. But when you put the goatee of Doctor Strange, you have the mustache here, I think he makes him look.
I like the Doctor Strange one. I don't like this mustache by itself.
Like a little porn stash?
No.
I love this stash.
I'm okay with goatees and stuff. And beards. No, you're not.
You don't like me with just a mustache?
No. I don't like people with just mustaches. That kind of weird to me. Unless you have a mustache.
I'm going to cut all mine up. Just a mustache.
Do one of these.
Next week I'm just going to have a mustache just like this. Right there.
Please don't. Are you going to do like a little tiny short one?
Oh, I'm going to cut it in to the size of my mouth.
Yeah. Right here.
Because I have a small mouth.
Please don't. Oh my gosh.
Be like this one.
I like facial hair, but either you have it or you don't. Wow. Do one or the other, but I don't like the little weird small mustache. That's just me. I mean, I'm sure it works for some people.
The only thing that let me down on this movie is I think I was expecting more like twists and turns, espionage.
Yeah.
I was expecting more like almost like creative heist type stuff of how they smuggle things, and everything seems so simple.
Yeah. Which
was because it was more realistic than some over the top.
That's what I'm telling you.
It's kind of.
I'm going to give you this envelope. Okay.
Yeah, because they didn't have to smuggle because nobody knew they were doing anything. Yeah. So, but I think the Hollywood mentality is hoping you want to see this weird handoff, and then like, and how they tricked this person, and they changed this, and they did this.
Well, that's Catch Me If You Can.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's that kind of stuff, or the Italian Job, or
I love me some Italian
Ocean's
Job.
11,
like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 13,
Ocean's 43.
Yes, all of the Ocean's
Ladies.
Yes.
Whatever that. I don't even know what that's called. What's it called?
That's what I thought was 30.
No, there was Ocean's 11, 12, and 13, and then there was them.
I thought they were 13.
I don't think so.
Oh well, I'll go find out. Anyhow,
Ocean's Women.
The movie was good. It is going to be slow. It's a talkie, and there's just a lot of watching to see what's happening, so you have to pay attention. Okay.
I believe it is in theaters, but I believe it is now available on demand at this point because it's been out since kind of beginning of March. So I think it's available now, but I could be wrong. But if not, you can check it out in the theater. Theaters are starting to get opened up more. If you want to ease your way back into theaters.
Ocean's 8 was the women one with Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
I believe.
See, you don't know. So then I think you got to make 9 and 10, so it evens up to 11.
All right. Next, check out The Courier. It was good. It's fine.
Okay, calm down.
It's not action packed.
Okay, calm down.
All right. Do you want to go here or here?
Pick one.
Let's go here, and that way we end up on a high.
Okay. We're going into Heavy Town.
Yeah, we don't want to end on be heavy.
All right, so this next one is another film that I didn't know much about. They sent it to me. My only interest was Jason Segel was in it. Mm-hmm. I like Casey Affleck as well.
I like me Jason
Affleck. Seems like I haven't seen him in anything in a long time.
Maybe because I'm just started watching How I Met Your Mother again, so it's like I just saw him yesterday. But yeah, I think he's done some
stuff, but he hasn't. It seemed like for a while he was in every comedy that was coming out with. Was it Yes Man and Forgetting Sarah Marshall and all this string of comedies that were really, really good.
Yeah,
and then he was gone. And the last few things he had popped up in were more dramatic or darker comedies and stuff. So I saw him in this one. It's a movie called Our Friend. Once again, based on a true story. It is about tragic love, life, and loss.
It's about a bunch of stuff.
It's about a lady who gets sick, and her husband's trying to take care of her, trying to take care of the family, and her best friend comes to help them out.
Yeah, so
that's the short version of it.
So it's Jason Segel, Dakota Johnson, and Casey Affleck. Affleck. Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. Y'all already know. I don't particularly care for Dakota Johnson. There's just something about her that's very off-putting to me. I'm so sorry. I'm sure she's a lovely person. Like your dad.
I like her mom.
There you go. She's just a little off-putting to me. So I already had that as a barrier.
Do you have an issue with her because you disliked her since 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes, because she didn't seem 50 Shadesy to me.
But see, I think she is as horribly bad as those movies are. I think she's perfect for the role because I think the whole point was supposed to be somebody that was kind of an average-looking person.
Well, she is.
Because she's not an ugly woman.
No, not at all.
She looks like she's like what I like to call a natural beauty, where she's pretty, but she looks like an everyday person. She doesn't have like supermodel look, or the over-the-top beauty.
Mm-hmm.
She's like me.
Wow.
Rugged good looks.
She's got rugged good looks. That's disturbing. Anyhow, I like me some Casey Affleck. We don't see him very much.
Well, he's been in some issues lately. But
has he?
He's another one that's got caught up in stuff, and I don't know what's true, what's not true.
I feel like mostly he does a lot of good dramatic things that I really like.
He's a great actor. He's very much Joaquin Phoenix-like.
It's a little awkward, right?
Yeah, he always seems to be. I think he's very introverted, because his performances are a lot like that. If you see him in interviews, he seems like I don't really want to be here, But he's good in these kind of roles.
He's good in this stuff. That's what
he's good at dramatic stuff, and I think in this movie, this really lets him.
Yes.
Be him.
And I thought he did such a great job in this one.
He did. Really good.
Because this one, his wife's dealing with her illness, but at the same time, they're still dealing with normal life stuff.
Yeah.
And the way the story's told is it kind of bounces, like we're in present time, but then it bounces back like 10 years ago. And then you go back to the, and like 5 years ago. It's a very
fractured story because it's trying to let you understand everything that led you to where you're at now.
Yes.
And why there's deep connections, why there's animosities, why there's frustrations and angers, yet happiness, and what they've been through and why this relationship is so important to them. And why certain things later come to play and affect other things. It's not a story you could have told in a normal way in a 2-hour movie.
And I think it did a really good job. Like I said, it's portraying normal life and what would happen.
This is the kind of movie you would normally hate.
Correct.
Because you don't like normal life stuff.
But I like Jason Segel, so I was in. But here's the thing. So it's like a normal relationship. Like if you had a difficult relationship with a family member, right? You haven't gotten along your whole time. But at the end, they need you to take care of them. All that other stuff's still in your head. It's not that easy. And so we see throughout their marriage, they had some problems throughout their marriage, throughout the last, 10 years or whatever. But when it comes down to it and she's sick and he has to take care of her, but then in the back of your mind, well, remember that time you did this.
Well, there's a moment
to set it aside.
Like one of her best scenes to me in the whole movie is she has a breakdown.
Yeah.
And
she's sick.
She starts screaming at everybody because they're doing the right thing for her to take care of her. But she snaps because of other people that you kind of feel betrayed. You know how it is when you're down and out, you start discovering who your real friends are or who you perceive as real friends. Sometimes you misread the situation or whatever, but she has this moment, she snaps, and it starts bringing up all those things. And
she's like, well, that's why I did this to you.
Yeah, even though she was, when that all came out, she was super sympathetic, and you could tell it was just the anger and the frustration. And she's also lashing out at her best friend, who Jason Segel plays her best friend, and he's dealing with his own demons. And like it's interesting, this whole story, like his whole arc was already tragic. You don't know this going in, but it's kind of leads in a tragic direction. And it's so ironic that the tragedy of what's happening to her is what saves him his tragedy. Because it gives him purpose, and it happens a lot. You realize something bad happens, and then, say if somebody dies, you were down on your luck, things else. The inheritance you got from them changed your life.
Correct.
But you had to go through that bad thing.
You didn't want that. And what I liked about his character is, honestly, he is just their best friend. There's no weird love triangle. Like, legit, he is her best friend.
They never come back.
That's what I really love, because it is possible.
That's because your best friend is a guy, and you're trying to maybe buy into it.
No, because that's the thing, though. But he becomes best friends with Casey Affleck, too, essentially, because they are the only two that are really in it together. Yeah. Because like you said, she's like this big socialite. She has a ton of friends. And as she gets sick, people start to go away. And as the sickness prolongs into years of sickness and illness, like she snaps and she starts posting, well, so-and-so, two-face, boop, boop, boop. and it just kind of blows up and escalates.
One of the things I like too is how both the guys, because the story, despite her being the focal point of their story, the story is really about
the two of them, I think,
and about how Casey Affleck character is trying to juggle life, where he's involved, but he's not as involved as he should be because he's lost. He doesn't know what to do, and how he's trying to find his way. The kids are struggling with it. You have Jason Segel's character who he's found his place because he had nothing else really, or he had stuff he didn't realize what he had.
Correct.
But he found it with helping take care of them. But I like the relationship of how they kind of called each other on their bullshit.
Yeah.
And also it wasn't a lot of caretaking or kowtowing to, like there's a moment where she's doing something or other, and he's like, Segel's grabbing her and tells him, look, you need to go to Affleck, who normally that's her husband, and you think the mentality would be like, I'm her husband. He's like, no, you need to go right now because this is out of control. And then it kind of, I don't know if you caught it, but it kind of comes full circle in the later half of the film where he comes to him and is like, look, you got to come do this something because of something else that put him in a place.
Yeah.
And there's the whole, that's interesting is I'm not going to spoil it, but the movie was originally called The Friend. Which is based on the article that the movie is based on.
Correct.
True story. There's a whole interesting twist of what that article is and what this movie is.
I'll have to go actually read the article.
Yeah, well, it's in that line at the end of the movie, which made it an interesting twist of the entire circle of everything. So were you happy with the ending as far as at least telling where everybody's at and what happened?
Yes, that, because you have to give me a true story ending. If it's a true story, like, you got to tell me what happened to these people. Like, the same thing with the Courier and with this one. There's a little like, okay, well, here's what happened. Thank you. That's all I needed to know. I don't need all the details.
My hair is awful.
I think the saddest thing to me, and also at the same time the most uplifting thing, was when the hospice nurse comes in. I like that lady. I forgot her name, but
she comes in. It's interesting because she comes in and she's very annoying. But then if you really think about it, her job is to come and deal with somebody until they die. Yeah. And then move to the next person that's going to die. Yeah. And she comes in like this is just the normal day. Yeah. Comes in and they're both, and it's a great scene because they're staring at her because she's talking about going to the beach or some nonsense with her girlfriend, her wife or whatever it was, and they're looking at her like, this bitch, what? And they're like, okay, yeah, why don't you show me where she's at? And then she doesn't. She goes, why don't you go sit down and put your feet out? I got this, shut up, And then when she comes to talk to him about the scenario and where they're at each time, she's very matter of fact. Yeah. Like, she's not cruel. No, not at all. She gets in their face like they're children. Yeah. Because you understand when you're dealing with grief and stress, you don't process. Yeah, you also don't handle things the right way. And she looks at him and one time she goes, look, here's what's going to happen. You need to prepare for this because this is going to happen, and I'll let you know when. Then she's like, another point, she's like, you need to go wake him up. It's time. Get the kids out of the house now. It's very and I think it's a very important part of the movie because it's makes you really understand what people deal with. Like, I dealt with, I wasn't there for the hospice nurse, but when my grandfather passed away, he was at home and in a bed like that, and I remember going and talking to him, and then right when I was done talking to him, he started having what they call the death rattle, which they moan. It's a horrible word. If you've never been around it, then hopefully you never will have to, because it's the worst thing you can ever hear. And they were basically said, okay, everybody needs to go because it's example, and sure as shit, died right after that. And
I'm just telling you, it takes special people to do this work. Like, I would just be bawling all the time. Like, I can't handle these emotional. I probably could if I had to, but I understood.
This is tough chick over here.
Oh, yeah, I can't deal with that. But I understood where they were
like.
Like,
pet cartoon last night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Animals are people and they get you. Anyway.
Animals are innocent.
Don't be speciesist. Anyhow, like she comes in. Her name is Cherry Jones, the actress. And I love this lady. I don't even remember what I've seen her in, but I love her. Oh, I remember her in The Village, in Signs. Anyways, she's in some of the Oceans movie.
I don't think what I saw her in recently. Hold on.
Oh, Handmaid's Tale. That's where I know her. I know her. Most recently, but I remember.
Nobody knows that.
American Crime. I remember in that.
Oh, I don't remember.
Anyhow, but she sees that they are actually just emotionally drained, and they don't even realize where they are.
Is what I know her from.
Okay.
All right.
So she's president. Anyhow, but the thing that I liked about her, now I lost my train of thought, is just her capacity to kind of walk them through it, to shake them out of where, because they don't even really realize what's happening, I don't think. And then there's one point where she comes in and she's like, how long has she been acting like this? And he's like, well, she's been sick for such and such years. She's like, no. How long has she been doing this?
Yeah.
Because there's one point where Dakota Johnson is literally just sitting there like, and she's like, oh no, honey, she needs to be on antipsychotic. She needs that, because she's like, you need to understand the sickness is killing everything, including what's happening in her brain. Yeah. And it's interesting, like she knew what was happening. And this just reminds me of a random thing. My Aunt Kathy was there when my grandfather died, and she sent everyone away because she kind of knew. Yeah. So she sent my mom home and my aunt home. And when my grandmother passed away a few years there, she was there again, and she sent my mom home again. So it's like she knew. And it's just so bizarre. There are some people who this is just what they need to be doing. Right. So I just left her at the very end of the story. And then, then that's done. It's like, okay, well, now what? And there's still more, though. That's the thing.
You get to, and I was surprised that we were getting that, and I was happy because I thought
it doesn't just end.
I thought the end of her illness was going to kind of be the end of the film and the end of their, it was either going to be they just kept working together to raise these kids, or they were just going to be like, okay, well, thanks for helping them by, and then we'd hear they're still friends and whatever happens. But then there was a whole nother thing of learning to move forward, accepting it, and what's interesting is they didn't do a lot of the super emotional grieving. It was funny because the person you would have thought would be the most upset was moving forward because they realized the responsibilities that they had in life that they had to be there for, but the entire movie they couldn't do.
Correct.
The person that was the most there and the most helpful suddenly shut down. Yeah. Because there was the one person, the one purpose they had. Yeah. Now didn't know how to accept it. And it was something this person did again for this person that made them realize, crap, I got to get my crap together.
And then they worked that. And then at the very end, it was so funny because the two guys are now talking and you're like, men just don't know how to express emotion.
Because they're trying to say thank you for everything.
I love you. Thank you.
And he's just
we'll
like
be friends.
He says a powerful statement of, what's he say? Like, thank you's not enough.
Yes.
That's the extent of the dialogue.
And you're like, men don't know how to express emotion.
Outside of the, they hug goodbye when they're leaving. He's going home and he says, thank you is not enough. And then there was a lot of grunts and okay, I guess we'll talk later on. Yeah, I'll see you around. I'll catch up. It's a very awkward man thing that happens all the time.
And that's unfortunate because I think everybody needs to learn how to express and articulate
here's the thing, is
what you're feeling.
I can explain it this way from my point of view. Is I can be emotional, I can whatever, but it's there's this. I'm trying how to explain it.
See if you can articulate this.
There's a couple of different versions and layers to this. There's the element of embarrassment that it's told about guys not being emotional. It's not manly enough to cry. And
but
blah,
it
blah,
is.
Blah.
So you cry.
That's nonsense. That's just
we're people.
That's people that have built up the whole man stigma that are doing Salem witch trials. That's those people.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah. But there's this also thing, and I know some women will look at it as a chauvinistic statement, but it's not meant that way. There's this thing that men are bred to be protectors. Mm-hmm. And like when I look at my wife and I look at my daughter, and I look at my mother, I'm way more protective of them than I am of my dad.
Yeah, but your dad's got some fast hands.
Well, I know. And it's not because I wouldn't be there to protect my dad or take care of my dad. I don't feel the need. Like me and my dad, that's the exact conversations me and my dad have. It's a lot of grunting.
Like, love you.
We don't
love you, son.
We hug sometimes. My dad.
That's your dad's big statement. Love you, son.
My dad says he loves me more now than he ever has.
He does.
I think it's because my mom has gotten sicker. I think it's because he's a great grandfather. He realized he's on his way out.
Wow.
But it's there's that mentality of we have to hold it together, so that the other members of the family can grieve. Can do their thing.
Yeah, but I think everybody needs that space.
It's like to make it sad. I felt the obligation when your cat passed away.
Oh my gosh, I'm still crying about my cat.
Exactly.
I cried so much yesterday.
I cried about your cat too, but I cried separately, not from hiding it from you, because I felt the need that I needed to be here for you.
Oh, baby, you could have cried.
No, I did, but
that cat was your cat.
I know. I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying I felt the need to be there for you to support, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not even the chauvinistic mentality of it. That's like, I feel the obligation to protect my wife.
Thanks,
we already know that you're not going to protect me because you left me on a mountain running away.
When I say run, you better run.
But no, I think that's where part of the thing is the history of it being this way for so long, that when there's two guys by themselves, one of two things happen. They either are able to have already established a relationship where they can express their feelings and cry and hug and do whatever, or they're like
awkward.
Yeah.
And I hope we can all get to the point where we realize everybody's just a person with emotions and everything. And maybe we can just teach everybody it's okay to cry or be happy or express what you're feeling. I think we should. I have a hard time too, because I was in an environment where it's like, hey, you don't have feelings. Just shut that down.
Well, here's a problem though, is you kind of have to have, like, you come to appreciate when you have somebody in your situation or in your life that can hold their shit together.
Yeah, sometimes you need it.
Somebody's got to use their brain and say, I got to take care of all these things. I got to do this. Like, thankfully, I'm somebody I think that can hold their crap together pretty well, because I'm an only child.
You have no choice.
So if something, God forbid, happens to my parents, I got to deal with everything.
Well, I'll help you. I'll get it done.
She's going to be blubbering.
I will, but I'll get it done.
She'll be like, yeah, remember this, boogers.
Oh, I'll have snot everywhere.
You know, and it's just
you're like buggers.
It's crazy. Like, me and my best friend, we've only had one really emotional moment in our entire life, and that was when my daughter passed away.
Aww.
And it was that exact moment from that movie. It was a look and a grunting conversation.
It was understood.
I kind of started to cry. He hugged me, and that was the end of it. We never really had more than that. And he's gay, so you think he'd be more emotional.
That is a stereotype.
I know it is.
People are people.
I don't even think you would know he's gay if you just met him.
No, because
like, he doesn't have the stereotype gay.
Yeah.
He just has the man.
Whatever. Anyway. People are people. We should all be equal.
But they're not.
Except for the Salem witch trials, which obviously was just to cleanse the world of women.
Exactly.
Lord have mercy. All right, that's what we've learned today. Watch the movie Our Friend. Our Friend, available now in theaters and on demand. Okay.
No, it's available on DVD now.
On the Blu-rays. Yes. Boom.
Moving on to a powerful women movie that's filled with ridiculousness, superheroes, and nonsense. We're talking about the new Netflix film,
Thunder Force.
Starring
Octavia Spencer and, oh my gosh, her name just escaped my brain.
You are a turd. It's Melissa McCarthy. Octavia Spencer. Bobby Cannavale.
Who's her husband? I mean, the other guy that's her husband.
Ben Falcone.
Bobby Cannavale's hair is like...
Yes, Bobby Cannavale is not her husband.
No, I'm just saying, I was thought you were going. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself.
Husband who directed the film, and he does have a small part.
Are they always in everything together? They are, aren't they?
For the most part, he shows up. He directs a lot of her films.
I love them.
And Jason Bateman.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
Oh, and Claude, I don't know how to say her name. She's in the Galaxy.
Wow.
I don't know how to say her last name.
She's the cute lady.
Clementif.
She's the little lady with the little bug antlers in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is it Mantis?
She's Mantis.
Is that her name
She's so cute. Let me go look her up. I think she is.
I don't remember. Anyway, so this movie is a superhero flick featuring the cast of people you would never expect to be in a superhero flick, which is one of the reasons it makes it awesome. It's about two childhood friends who grow up but kind of have the normal issues where they separate, and one's book smart, one's street smart, one's bumbling.
She's French.
Yes.
Clementif.
One's bumbling and kind of out there. I bet you can't guess which one it is. The other one's laser focused on her career and her life, and one's successful, one's not.
Yeah, she's Mantis.
We're living in a world where, like, these mutant type characters that have powers or mutations. They call them miscreants.
The miscreant.
And so they talk about, as kids, about, man, we should be superheroes one day. And one of their parents are like scientists or geneticists or whatever. And they're trying to develop superpower or something. Give people. So anyway, so jump ahead. Things happen. They become Thunder Force.
Wow, that's a really easy version of the movie. Anyhow.
Tell me that's not what happened.
Both these kids are kind of, in a way, brought together because they're down and out as they're young because they don't have parents.
I said all that.
Okay, but
she has parents.
No.
Octavia Spencer does.
No.
Yes. Not till later. Okay, stop whispering.
Anyhow, but the interesting thing that I like is Melissa McCarthy, because she's just so bizarre and strange.
This is vintage Melissa McCarthy. Like, I'm going to tell you now, if you don't like Melissa McCarthy when she plays stuff like in Tammy or what is that one with Jason Bateman? I love that movie. It's so ridiculous for his Stolen Identity.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the name of it now.
Where she's like, ooh, Barracuda.
Yeah, that one.
I love that movie.
Spy or anything like that. Then you're probably not going to like it.
She's over the top.
She's had and it was glad to see her go back to, because she's had a string recently where she's done a lot of more dramatic style. She did that mob movie.
Yeah.
She did the one about the writer, and she did some other stuff. So I like seeing her. This takes her back to that. So she's kind of the bumbling goofy, but she does her stereotypical goofy quips and one-offs and very physical.
And she just looks like dirty and
what she's supposed to.
Gross, and it's a mess. So she
is a mess in the movie.
She is an absolute mess. And then Octavia Spencer's got it all together. You know, But here's what
I'll say is, it's always interesting to me is Melissa McCarthy very much reminds me of Chris Farley in the physicality of a big person.
Yes.
That she can roll and jump and do all this crazy stuff. Octavia Spencer is clearly not a physical person.
Correct.
And they geniusly wrote the story and their powers to make it fit their strengths.
Yes.
So
I posted this twice. Sorry.
Octavia Spencer's character gets to get in on the action and stuff plenty of times, but it's not really fully action packed for her.
Yes, they have McCarthy do all that.
McCarthy's doing wire work and all kinds of crap.
I loved it.
This movie was so fun.
It's fun. Is it a little bit dumb?
Horribly
yes,
dumb.
But that's okay.
And let me tell you, I would love to hear the pitch meeting on how they sell it to Jason Bateman.
Yes, because his character is crazy. And he does some funny things.
It is not something I would have ever thought he would play. Now, if he'd come off of Teen Wolf 2 and then played this, I would have totally saw it.
Yeah, because there's a ridiculous dance number. And then that's when you're like, how did they get him to do this movie? And I'm like,
but I also know they've worked together before, and he's probably friends with him. But this is, I guess, technically his second superhero movie because he did the, I keep saying Hitch, but it's not Hitch. It's the one with Will Smith. Hitchcock.
It's Hitch, isn't it?
No, Hitch is the one with him and Will Smith and Kevin James is the romantic comedy one. Hitchcock is the Will Smith one.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Let me go back to here. Let me go to Will Smith and find it.
Is it Hitchcock?
No, I don't know. What is that movie called, guys?
Oh my Lord, I just got blank now. Now that you made me question.
Oh my gosh, I'm on to Will Smith.
Where he's the drunk superhero?
Yes.
But that's not Hitch. It's not Hitch.
Lord. Oh my gosh, where are you taking me to, Internet?
Why are you going to Hitch? We're just going to whole movie trying to find a Will Smith movie just to talk about.
We're going to find this one thing.
I thought it was Hitchcock.
There he is with Aunt Bev. Come on. Okay. What is it called?
It's going to actor.
Oh my Lord, Will Smith, stop doing so much work. You're making it hard for us. Just kidding. Okay. Oh my gosh, what is it called?
Pretty far back. It's a few years ago.
Hancock. Hancock.
I wasn't too far off.
You're on Hitchcock. I'm like Hancock.
I know people are probably commenting and telling us.
Probably. Thanks. No. It says new comments. I can't read it. That's okay.
Why can't you read it?
It wouldn't go scroll down.
Oh. Anyway. But anyways, yeah, it's
you have to watch Thunder Force.
It's such a weird role, but he's so good in it because it fits. He delivers. He's another one that's very dry quips, which I've always loved about him, which makes him transition into drama really well.
Yes.
And that's what he's been doing the most of. But his character here.
Over the top.
and the romance scenes and the things that he does
So bizarre.
are some of the best of this entire movie.
Bizarre.
They are so bizarre, but so funny. It's really good. But this movie is dumb in the best possible way.
It is.
Like, I hope
it's just to have fun, eat some popcorn. Like, I would watch this again.
Oh, I would too. And you know what's the best about it? Not only do you have two female powerful superheroes.
Yeah.
You have two female powerful superheroes that are not to body type.
Correct, which I loved.
None of this is ever mentioned in the movie.
And I didn't even think
But what I'm saying is they didn't feel the need to make it like, well, y'all don't look like superheroes, or y'all this, hey, this doesn't quite fit, because that could have been easy jokes they could have done.
Yeah.
It's just, this is what it is. This is how it works.
Yeah.
They're bumbling and they're crazy because they're learning to do it. There's goofiness where they do make fun of themselves, but it's never about their feminism. It's never about their weight.
Size
it's
or
never
anything.
About, they're two normal people that get superheroes that don't know how to be superheroes.
Correct. And I think the only thing that I guess may have kind of alluded to that, but they didn't even mention it, was them trying to get in this tiny little Lamborghini.
Yeah,
but I don't think I could get in a Lamborghini.
That was just a funny joke that joke.
How do you get in a Lamborghini? Because it's like so low to the ground. Like, what if you're wearing a dress? What the heck do you do? Do you
sit down and you turn?
No, I think you would have to sit down like, I'm going to demonstrate.
No, what's happening?
I think you'd have to sit down like this in the seat.
No.
And then go here.
No,
and then go there.
No.
Yes.
No.
What if you're wearing a short skirt?
You turn around, you sit down in it, and you bring your legs in.
No, but if you sit down.
Don't sit down like you're a dude with your legs
No,
spread.
So what do I have to do? Sit down with my legs crossed.
Sit down, you wacko.
And then sit down.
You sit down in the car.
And then you have to turn it around. Turn the beat.
How do you get in your Mustang? It's not that much different.
Well, okay.
How do you get in my Camaro? It's not much different.
I hold my skirt like this and I step in.
Then you would do the same
so
thing.
Maybe I need to start being a lady and sit down and then turn my legs in. I don't know. Who knows? Anyhow.
I think there's so many more things you need to do about being a lady, and it just happened on this show already. But no, yeah, like that was like the only really kind of a weight loss joke. Not weight loss, but a weight joke was them fitting in the Lamborghini.
I do love that they are just them.
Yeah.
We didn't find some skinny minis, which if you're skinny too, that's great. I mean, whatever. But it's not a thing,
But it's not a necessary thing because, like, if you read a lot of comics, yes, majority of comic people have big muscles and bras and sexy bodies and stuff. But there are comic characters that have been created that are average size or different sizes, and it's about, in this film, it's about the laughs. But it gives you everything you could want in an over-the-top comic film. It's not a parody, it's not a spoof, but it has cheese to it. But you even have villains that feel like comic book villains.
Correct.
You have crab people and people shooting lightning, and you have I don't know what else is there. Demons, kind of demon.
There's one guy whose power is he just squeezes you.
Yeah, it's like just weird stuff.
Weird.
That usually end up being some of the best comics.
Yes.
Is just weird heroes. Like a lot of the characters remind me of characters in the Savage Dragon that are just weird heroes.
Yeah.
Or villains that just the most bizarre looks. Like they might just have one big. There's a guy I believe that's just got one big crab arm, like a lobster claw. Not in this movie, in the comic.
Yeah.
And the rest of me is like normal.
Well, and I think because the way they explain this is like there was some sort of a surge that hit the earth.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what would happen. There would be some weirdo
stupid stuff. Like, see, and if you know my history of creating characters,
that's what you love.
I create bizarre characters on purpose. Like my entire superhero team that I created, their powers are all stupid because it's too convenient that everybody's powers are always great. Like I want to see people that are struggling. And that's what this movie is. That's why I love this movie. And it's silly.
It's just normal people trying to get through. And then suddenly they're like, hey, we have powers. Let's use them for good.
Well, and the way they get their powers, and there's the whole montage.
We need a montage.
Of training that goes on. There's a funny running gag of the differences on how their gaining of their powers is handled. Where one is horribly tortured constantly. The other one just nonchalantly taking pills, and it's just they work great together.
It's
I think they have good chemistry.
I agree.
I think they're two you believe are friends.
I agree. I think they would be friends in real life.
And it's one that I hope we get to see more Thunder Force because that was fun. It's a fun movie,
and it's on Netflix. So I mean, you could just go watch it.
And I like too their uniforms. they didn't try to take their uniforms to make them look anything more than what they were or
Correct.
less than what they are. But they gave them just enough difference in style that they have their own character, but they look similar. And there was never jokes about not being able to get in and out of the uniform. The only joke was about how to wash them.
That's funny.
Which makes sense. Think about it. It's like,
and nobody ever explains, like, does Superman do his own laundry or Batman?
You know Spider-Man washes his own clothes.
We know who does Batman's. Never mind. Alfred does everything. But, like, yeah, does Spider-Man wash his uniform?
And it's a joke that comes back later, and they're like, oh, and he's like, we're still working it out.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a great movie. You need to watch it.
If you hate her, you're going to hate the movie. Just tell you this now. But I love her.
Who hates her?
I know a lot of people that.
My favorite is the movie where she puts her leg up on the door and she's like, yeah, you want some of this? Or whatever that movie was with her husband.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
that was the one that made her a star because she was doing Mike and Molly, but that made her a bona fide.
And I like Mike and Molly too.
Yeah.
So.
We were late to the party on Mike and Molly.
But I'm a fan.
Bridesmaid made her a bona fide.
I just love that whole scene.
Movie star.
Correct.
And she spun off and so.
And now look what she's been. She's all grown up.
She's in Thunder Force now. Anyway,
Thunder Force.
I thought Thunder Force was a blast.
But you have to say it with conviction.
Yes, there's a whole discussion about it too.
Like Thunder Force. Like, no, Thunder Force. I'm like, okay, gotcha.
Anyway, Thunder Force is on Netflix now. Check it out.
Check it. Check. Mike 1, 2.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, coming out on Blu-ray and DVD this week. This is a kind of a small week, but
we've been talking for over an hour.
That's right. Somebody tell us that, or you just told us?
I just noticed.
Oh, somebody was complaining.
No.
Another
complain if you want to.
Ultraman Complete Series is coming out. I believe this is the final one in the set. I think it's a set of 6. And if you get the regular boxes, not the steelbook, and you put them together, they create this long image. I don't know. You can see it. Like camera can't, but you can see it right there. Go straight up. Second thing down.
Oh, yeah.
It creates like a whole image of all the different Ultramen when you put it back
so cool.
and thing. How many do I have up there? 4?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, so there's 2 more. So this was the final one. I believe this is the 6th one that they've done. Then there's a movie called Fukushima 50. I don't know what this is. Inspired by a true story in the darkest hours, courage prevails, but it's starring Koichi Sato and Ken Watanabe, which we like Ken Watanabe.
Yeah, we like Ken Watanabe. It looks a little dramatic, like an espionage thing.
Well, it looks like
I would watch it.
It looks like a battleship, so I'd have to go look it up. Spaceballs is getting the 4K treatment, which is a delicious film. And one I'm super excited for. Hopefully it shows up because they're supposed to be sending it to me. And if it gets here, we are going to be talking about this because I'm going to make you watch it. There's a movie coming out called Willy's Wonderland, starring Nicolas Cage.
Oh, okay.
And it's essentially like a horror flick at Showbiz Pizza. It's like all those like animatronic characters and stuff. So it's not at Showbiz, but it's that kind of thing of all the animatronic characters and Nicolas Cage taking them on, which I'm so excited for.
Oh, okay. The Fukushima 50, I'm going to want to watch this. It's workers at a nuclear power plant. It's about to go up, but these people decide to stay, even though there's going to be an earthquake, a tsunami, and all this stuff that happens. Is this a true story?
Yes, it says based on inspired by.
Yes, the nuclear power plant. Oh my gosh, that wasn't too long ago. It's like 10 years or so. Oh my gosh, I am in.
So that's the big stuff this week.
And the killer animatronics.
Willy's Wonderland. And next week we'll be talking about Gunda.
You guys. I've been waiting forever to watch it. Was it worth it?
Did you say was it?
Was it worth it? We'll find out next week.
If you don't know what Gunda is, just go watch the trailer. Gunda. The trailer is mesmerizing.
It is. And it shouldn't be, but it is.
It is. Just go watch it.
It's about
the trailer, and then it's about farm life.
Yes. I want to tell you the animals, but I won't right now.
Well, it's a black and white film. We'll talk about it.
It's interesting.
Next week. What you got?
It's very interesting. All right. So movies coming out.
Something was supposed to be coming out this week. The days are coming out now.
Oh, no.
Got to move to another week.
What are we on? We're on this next week. Okay.
My sister.
Coming out this Friday. You'll tell me when we get there. There's a movie called Monday. Don't know anything about it. Except it has Sebastian Stan. So
who I would like to make an announcement here. The Miss Ma'am who has been bashing Winter Soldier for years has now turned the corner. She's a Winter Soldier sympathizer.
I finally understand.
She understands what I've been telling her from the beginning.
Well, no, I finally understand what Captain America, well, what's his real name? Rogers.
Steve Rogers.
I understand now why Steve had him as a best friend, what he saw in him, and the love between them, and his reason why he wasn't going to give up on him. I get it now.
And all you got to do is watch the new episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus as it delves deeper into its traumatic issues that he dealt with.
Yes, and I get it now. I'm not going to be a huge fan, but now maybe I'm going to go back and watch the first Captain America, Winter Soldier, and now dive deep into where Steve's coming from. I'm not in love with him, but that show is really good. All right, so check out the movie Monday. Limited. Also on video, demand, and digital, Killer Among Us. Dun, dun,
is that kind of like a Fungus Among Us?
Yes. So it's about a rookie cop dealing with a potential serial killer.
Right. Vanquish, I'm interested in only because it's a Ruby Rose action movie.
It's
Morgan
a limited
Freeman.
Release. It may not be near you, but if it is, go check it out.
It's Morgan Freeman and Ruby Rose. I don't know.
That's all it gave me, baby.
Okay, good. They moved it because that Mortal Kombat was originally supposed to open this week, but it got moved
to a week out.
Which I was excited for Mortal Kombat because not only am I get to watch that, we're going to do a marathon of all things Mortal Kombat. I'm going to get you caught up on all things Mortal Kombat. I have
never seen any of the Mortal Kombats that I know of. I know you're embarrassed to be married to me now. And we need to go pick up the movie Voyager. So we're going to have to go watch that. That's one we need to pick up.
So that means that week, not this week, be next week, we're going to watch Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat
Annihilation.
Mortal Kombat. That's all I know about Mortal Kombat.
Scorpion's Revenge, the animated feature. Oh. Then Mortal Kombat Legacy 1 and 2.
Well, we better start watching now.
Which Mortal Kombat Legacy 1 and 2 are actually like mini-series kind of shows. But they're short shows.
Well, we better start that tonight. Like, give me one tonight. One.
Michael J. White's in it.
I don't know anything about these. I thought it was just a video game.
It was a video game, but Mortal Kombat. We'll talk about it next time.
We'll talk about it.
I could go on because I have some history with Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay.
As not only just a game, but with the movie that released in my martial arts world. So it's a big deal.
Well, there you go. All right. So there's a lot happening. Get to the theater. Get to the theater right away.
And you know what was number one this week?
What? Godzilla versus
was number one once again. It is at another 13, 14 million, which means people are kind of going back to the theater. It's looking good. It's getting better. We think that Mortal Kombat might be the punch. And what's funny is the big stuff that's going back is all Warner Brothers, because Mortal Kombat, when it opens in 2 weeks on the 23rd, it's also going to be on HBO Max.
Oh,
it's another one of those.
Awesome.
So this is what's kind of cool as we head out, that King Kong got doing really good numbers for pandemic theater, and being able to watch it at home on HBO Max, and people are still seeing it. Because those numbers that we're getting are just the theater numbers. Nothing to do with HBO Max. And the most awesome news I heard today was that they said that the studios have multiple ideas for various MonsterVerse movies. Could we get a Mothra film?
That'd be awesome. We should. All right, let's wrap up here with contests because the dog needs to go outside.
We don't really have any new contests.
He's more important
than us. Contests
are
pretty much the same ones we've had going for the last few weeks. I still have copies. They kept sending me new copies of some of this stuff. Some of them winners didn't respond with their address, so I give them a week or so, and then I go to somebody else. So we still have Russian Raid, Don't Tell a Soul, Crazy Samurai 400 versus 1, Wonder Woman 1984, Godzilla, and digital copies of News of the World. So I have some new ones that are supposed to be showing up in the next week or so.
Oh my gosh!
And they'll start taking places of some of this stuff. So
I wasn't even sharing the screen. Y'all didn't get to see that.
That's okay. I named it.
That's okay.
I saw it down here.
That's fine.
Anyway, so that's it for now.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Sorry we went long, but sometimes we get excited about things. Make sure you check us out. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go like, share, thumbs up, tweet, whatever you're supposed to do. And we will see you next week.
Don't forget, join us next Sunday for an all-new episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. And if we get around to other shows, we'll do it. If we don't, we'll be here on